All right, guys, good morning. First, I'd like to say thank everyone for attending. It's not lost on any of us that your time is valuable, and we always appreciate it when you choose to spend it with us. So, thank you very much for coming over and watching this webinar, and I really hope that it helps y'all see what we're doing for you, and it helps you understand how to better position our products to your customers. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So today, as mentioned, we're going to be covering, our Vigilant product roadmap for the rest of the year on into the early part of next year. And then we're going to end with some of the analytics that all of our cameras do now so that you can be better prepared to present our product to your customers and hopefully win more business. With me today, or I guess first, my name's Robby Thomas. I'm the Director of Sales, and I will be the host today. With me is Norman Ragland, our Director of Product Management. Go ahead and say, Norman, go ahead and tell them a little bit about yourself.
Hello, everyone. Thank you guys for your time. Director of Product Management here at Alibi. Been in the industry for over 20 years. A lot of experience with working directly with manufacturers, building up the line. As Robby stated, we'll cover kind of the product roadmap. We'll cover some of the newer products that you guys helped us design and get to this where we're at today, and then we'll do some of the AI demos for you guys as well. So again, really appreciate your time, and hopefully we'll get useful information out of you guys today and provide as much data as we can. So thank you.
Perfect. And then also with us today is Patrick Liggett. He's another one of our product managers. Patrick, why don't you give them a little introduction about you and your role?
Sure. I've been with Observant Alibi Security about 7 years now. I actually started in tech support. I was there for about 3 years, and then got promoted up into the product management team. And been working with Norman ever since then. That's a lot of my background is the technical aspect of it. Now I'm joining the product team and helping bring on the new products and integrating new features into them.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. So next, let's go ahead and hop into, actually, good point. I'm glad this slide's here. Hey, if y'all have questions, just go ahead and type them in as you have them. At the end of this, we're going to do a Q&A session, and we'll answer every one of your questions so that when you leave from our webinar, everything you could ever want to know has been answered, and that way you can move forward with your day. The agenda will kind of go like this. We'll have the Alibi Vigilant gear overview. We'll cover the new cameras, the new recorders, firmware updates, product roadmap, as well as just analytic setups and management. And then really, what does that mean to you and your customer base? And then we're going to end it with Q&A. One plug I'd like to go ahead and put in here is Norman and Patrick work tirelessly to make sure that everything we bring in is NDAA approved and it's FCC approved. That's really, really big. There's a lot of competitors out there that aren't meeting these standards, and it could leave you exposed over time.
That's correct. Yeah, with that, there are some models, and we call those out for you guys as far as if they're not NDAA compliant, and some of those are just products that we're waiting for the technology to catch up. One we'll cover today is kind of the hybrid recorders. Getting to an NDAA compliant hybrid recorder has been a little bit of a long road, and it just took a little bit of time to develop those chips. So we're here now, but it's one of those where certain models, maybe like a fisheye or something that's very specialty, might still not be on the NDA list, but you can see from our roadmap, that's our focus. Everything that we want to bring on or are bringing on is NDA compliant, as well as, checks off with FCC. So make sure that you guys are compliant, just in case, anything in the future comes down the road, you guys are protected. So with that, I'll get started, Robby.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. With the Vigilant line, we cover a complete line of IP cameras, recorders, all the way down to your hybrid needs. So whether you need TVI, CVI, HD, or just CVBS, we cover that. But the entire lineup, will cover your basic, 2 megapixel resolution all the way up to a 12 meg. So it covers that 4K resolution option. The thing that we focus on with Vigilant, feedback from you guys over the years is, you want better chipsets. You want to see at night. So we focused on making sure that, 95% of our cameras had some type of low light chipset in it. And you'll see that throughout the line, whether it's in a Flex model or up to our Pro model, you can see the difference with just the light rating. So we believe, providing you, good picture quality, not only in the day, but at nighttime is very important. You want to be able to see maybe the color of the vehicle, object, so on, so you can help identify and provide that information to capture what you're looking for. So as far as recorders, we covered, your basic 4-channel all the way up to 128 channels. This will cover, your basic needs. Most of the recorders on the NVR side will cover some type of PoE output. So your 4 to 16 will traditionally have, 4 to 16 PoE outputs. And then that will vary between 32, 64, and so on models. So we make sure we cover that. We do have the latest compression, of course, built into the recorders. This will help you save bandwidth as well as recording space. And then we also implemented the long distance PoE over Ethernet. This will allow you to go from your basic 328-foot distance, to as much as over 600 feet, still using the same cable, same cameras without any amplifiers put in line. So just giving you more so you don't have to, go out there and pick up extra gear to get that distance that you're looking for. And then overall, we feel it's very intuitive, whether it's using the interface, the multi-client mobile app, or all the way down to even updating firmwares. We made it very easy for you guys, especially through our Star4 Live portal. Everything can be done automatically with just a check of a box. You could look for updates, check the box, it'll automatically start the update for you. So making things easier is the key as well. And that's something that we've heard from you guys. As we get into the Vigilant lineup, this is our IP camera series. We traditionally break it up into 2 series, a Flex series, which will be more of your cost-effective entry level. But in some of those cases, you'll see some of those models offer a Starlight chipset. They might have a built-in microphone. They might offer some type of AI capability, whether it's human detection or just your standard intrusion detection. And then the other thing is, maybe some of a little bit of the housing might have a composite of a little bit of metal as well as ABS to try to help bring down that cost. So that's something that we're working on. But feedback from you guys is you want metal. So that's something that we're working on going forward. As far as any new models, we'll try to bring it out in a metal type of housing. It's just overall just great, better feel. It'll last longer and so on. And then in optics, it's very important. You sometimes you'll miss that. You'll see some companies list a really low lux rating, but when you look in the specs, you see that they'll use like a specialty lens for that test. But the lens that will come with your product is maybe a f1.6 or f2.0 aperture, and what that means is they used a really good lens for that test, but then when they actually went to mass production, they're providing you maybe a plastic lens that's not as low light, so you're not really getting the true performance out of that camera. And that's something that we focused on. So on the performance series, you're going to have more of a heavy duty housing, more commercial build. Again, the advanced optics, built-in microphones, whether some type of audio I/O that's built in, that's something that we check the box for you. And then you'll see some specialty form factors like your PTZs, your panoramics, your fisheyes. Those will automatically be in the Pro series. So just keep that in mind. We'll cover a little bit of the matrix for you guys as far as how the SKUs are laid out and what each nomenclature means from there. So we'll cover that for you guys. And again, we also still cover the HD analog for the guys that still need that. It covers from 2 to 8 megapixels. So that's the one thing we're not forgetting about is, make sure we check the box for the latest technology. So we do have that in fixed and varifocal, but we're focusing on Starlight chipset for these as well. So you'll see the majority of the models will all have some type of Sony Starlight chipset. And then we're focusing on adding Illuminite technology to a lot of these. So you'll see the white light technology built in. And with the white light technology, that's going to give you that color 24/7 picture. That way you can identify the color of an object or vehicle, daytime or nighttime. So it's very, very beneficial for you to select a model like that in those type of applications. And again, with our TVI lineup, they're all NDA compliant as well. So here's a matrix of our SKU. Again, with the very beginning, we start with a brand indicator Alibi. The next indicator will be the product line type. So whether it's an analog, whether it's in the Flex line or Performance Series, Pro and so on. Then we call out the product type, resolution, and then you'll see that next rev is usually a rev of the version. So whether it's like a PD40, the next rev will possibly be just a PD41 to try to make it easy for you guys. So if you're notice the PD40 is out of stock or it's EOL, the replacement is going to be the PD41. So we'll try to make it very easy for you guys to kind of understand that and then navigate through our SKUs. And then at the very end, we'll have our extensions, whether it's a vandal proof, maybe it's a black color housing, white light, starlight. Audio is one that we like to call out. Audio can mean built-in mic, or it can also mean audio IO. So just when you're looking for a camera with a built-in mic or audio IO, make sure you take a look at the specs. On our website, we did put in a filter for microphones. So if you want to just filter down to cameras with built-in mics, you could do that very easily. They'll take you right to those products. So hopefully that made sense there. This is where we cover the latest camera releases. This will be cameras that we just received in or that we're going to receive in. Traditionally, these will have the newest technology. Maybe in some cases you'll have a lower cost with some of the technologies that we're bringing in. That's some of the things that we've heard from the field is, some of these specialty cameras might run a few $1,000s, but in some cases the customer budget might not check the box for that, but they still need that type of feature. So that's something that we worked on this year for you guys. So the two models that we're covering right now are our Wi-Fi models. We have these available in a 2 meg and a bullet as well as a dome. Both models will offer about 98-foot IR. They cover a wide field of view lens, so 101 degrees field of view. With both of these models, they have a built-in microphone. So again, that's for areas where you need to maybe stick up a camera where, it's that shed camera or it's that garage camera, or that front door camera where you didn't run a cable to, or maybe they realize after the fact, we need to add something. And it's just a really quick and easy way to add something to their network. And then you can also retrieve that information into their recorder. At the same time, it has a built-in micro SD card slot. So, if they want to use this camera independently, they can. They could just insert a micro SD card, get power to the camera, network it, and from there they could access it from their mobile app, browser, software, playback video, just as if they were inside of an NVR. Works very, very similar. Both of these, again, are outdoor rated. The dome is IK10. So if you're in an area where there's a little bit more vandal prone, or maybe there's somewhere where someone can tamper with the camera, go for the dome camera. The bullet, again, does give you a little bit of leverage to kind of reach and grab it. So if it's an area where it's not high crime, the bullet would work perfect for you guys. Key thing is these are not PoE supported. They require some type of 12-volt power supply. These are 0.3 amps, so less than 300 milliamps. So a 500 or 1 amp power supply would work for you guys. Reset button is built in as well. So just in case you forget the password, customer forgets everything that they configured it to, you can hold down that reset and it'll automatically reset the camera for you guys. We did have these in a 4 meg version that were not NDA. So just clarify, these are NDA compliant. As soon as there's a higher resolution model, we will work on bringing those in, but these have been very popular so far. Next is our Illuminite. This is our new 4K Illuminite series. So the term Illuminite is our reference of white light technology. So both of these cameras will support up to about 100 foot of white light technology. This will give you color picture 24/7. So daytime or nighttime, you'll be able to see in full color. So the cameras do produce a white LED output. You can control the strength of that as far as increasing or decreasing it. In some cases, if it's a very close-up shot, you need to decrease that IR or the white light strength because you can have a little bit overexposure, but the camera does compensate very well for it. We're using the latest Starlight chipset for the 4K cameras in here. So 0.001 is what you're going to see is pretty low for a 4K camera. Traditionally with 4K or 8 meg, the sensors are not super low, but this is using the latest Starlight chipset. Difference between the two cameras, you're going to see the lens. So the turret traditionally will have the wider field of view. The bullet will have a little bit more narrow, but again, 94 degrees field of view is still fairly wide. If you put this in a corner room, it would cover wall to wall, just to give you an idea. True WDR, so again, they're going to have the best compensation for light handling. Both of the cameras support Smart Sense. So Smart Sense is our AI feature. Traditionally, there's some type of pedestrian or vehicle detection built in. And then we'll cover some of the other analytics that we have built into some of our cameras as well.
And just to kind of put a plug in here, guys, we always listen to what you say or what you're wanting. And everybody was giving us feedback over the last year that you wanted higher and higher resolution white light. So that's why we brought these out. It was really based off of y'all's feedback saying, hey, we really like these white lights. Can you give us more iterations, maybe higher resolution? And then we're going back and forth between that and analog. So we're trying to listen to y'all and bring in stuff that you really want.
That's correct. Yeah, what you're going to hear is, they wanted more pixels, or they just needed a higher resolution, especially against maybe their competitor, someone in town pitching a 4 or 5 meg white light type of technology. So that's the reason why we check this, just to make sure we have a 4K option for you guys. Host of brackets, junction boxes available for these, same form factor as traditionally as our rest of our Vigilant. So nothing new here for you guys. So it's same install form factor, everything that you guys are used to. Both these are IK10, vandal resistant, so they're more industrial. Again, these are in our Pro line, so just keep that in mind. But 2 very nice cameras, give you really good picture quality daytime or nighttime. This is our new dual lens PTZ. This is 2 megapixel. What you'll see here is you'll see 2 cameras. At the top, there's a panoramic camera right up here. Has a 2.8 millimeter lens. There's a little tilt adjustment that'll allow you to get a little bit of a tilt. So you can see 18 degrees is kind of where you have a little bit of room to play. So again, if it's kind of low to the ground, you could tilt it down more. If as you have it up higher, you could put it out higher. So it's just gives you the option to kind of just hone in the field of view that you're looking for. So while you have the one camera covering you a panoramic shot of 102 degrees field of view, then you have another one with a PTZ that will cover more tight end shots. So you can set up the panoramic to, say some type of intrusion detection. So anytime a vehicle or person walks in, that will detect that. And then that PTZ itself can do a certain amount of auto tracking to track that person or vehicle within that field of view. After a certain amount of time, it can go back to its home position and then wait for the next event. So this is a good camera, especially, if you've ever done parking lot cameras, traditionally you'd have to sell the customer 2 cameras. You would have 1 PTZ and maybe 1 wide angle panoramic. So you'd have maybe 2 cable runs for that. With this one cable run, you could get the panoramic signal as well as the PTZ signal. So 2 channels, but with 1 cable run. Built-in microphones built into this as well. So you'll cover your video and audio. It does have a built-in speaker. The speaker is more for like audio deterrent. So you could have pre-recorded messages already inside the unit. I think there's like 10 or so, and then you could actually upload your own audio file. And this is, someone enters the zone, you could have a message that says, intrusion detection, please leave, or whatever message you would like to put in there. That's available for you guys. The bracket is a 2-in-1. So you can see there, it comes in I believe it comes in a wall mount configuration already. And then all you have to do is just undo the 2 screws at the top, and then basically it'll twist and then lock in a ceiling type position. So again, it's one of those, you'll buy a PTZ camera, it comes with a wall bracket, but you need a ceiling mount. So you have to purchase that separately. So this is kind of the one where it's one of those first times where you'll see a 2-in-1, whether you need a ceiling mount or a wall mount, it's already included. Micro SD card slot built into these guys. The panoramic is a true WDR, PTZ is a digital WDR, just give you guys an idea. There is linkage in the specs, as you can see, is supported. So again, if that panoramic sees some type of motion, the PTZ can react to it. So again, just more of helping you set up a camera to make it smarter, where you don't need some type of security guard watching the cameras moving around, just acts independently for you guys. It makes it very easy to reduce the false alarms and then cover your area with more than 1 camera.
Norman, cover the 2 mics. And what
Okay.
we're trying to improve on there.
Yeah, so with the 2 mics, you'll see that we started introducing stereo audio. What we notice is, your mono audio, the quality is fairly poor in most cases. With the built-in 2 mics, you're going to have stereo audio, so you'll have very crisp, clear audio is what we've noticed. We built this into some certain dual lens before, and we'll have some higher end cameras that have a built-in 2 mics, and basically just stereo microphone. So just overall, just improving the quality of the mic is what we're trying to do here. If you guys have used built-in mics before, With other manufacturers, you'll notice that maybe in some cases the quality is not that great. It's very distorted or muffled, or it's too high gain and you hear every little pin drop and everything's pretty distorted. With this one is very crisp and clear. There's a little bit of noise reduction built in, so you don't have that kind of the echoey sound effects built in. So it's just improving the audio quality is something that we've been focusing on, especially for any of our cameras with built-in mics. If you guys have worked with us in the past, if you guys have sold maybe our witness wedge, we come right out the gate to let you know that microphone is not the best in there. You might want to add some type of external mic. So that's something that we make sure we cover with our tech support agents as well as the sales guys so that they're aware. That way, during the time of purchase, you can they'll be able to advise you of that. So cool. Starlight chipset. Again, a lot of features built into this one, 2-in-1 bracket, run cabled out to it, get 2 video signals. So really a feature packed camera that we're offering here.
I'll just add some too that we are working on a how-to video for our YouTube video selection for this camera as well. So that is in process.
Yeah, same time, just to call out, this is it looks larger inside. I don't think we list the size, but this is a compact PTZ. So it's not, it might look large in the picture, but it is very compact. It's not a vandal prone camera. So, if you're mounting this camera in an area where it's easy to get to, again, you might want to go with more of a vandal proof version or mount it up higher. So just keep that in mind when you do quote out this camera. Next is a panoramic camera, 4 meg. This is kind of one where we've heard the feedback. Traditionally with panoramic cameras, you're looking at thousands of dollars to offer something like that. Traditionally it's going to be in a really large housing. You'll need a really industrial bracket to hold it up. This is more of a cost-effective bullet. You're going to have this camera is about that size in total. It's got the dual lens built in, so it's giving you a wide angle field of view, and it's only going to use 1 signal. So Starlight chipset at 0.0005, which is going to give you probably the best picture we have out of any 4 meg right now. So 160-degree field of view, digital WDR, audio alarm IO, and then kind of back to that 2 microphones. You can see them here in the front. There's one there and one there. So that's giving you that stereo audio. So anywhere you want to maybe cover any type of really crisp audio, whether it's a parking lot, showroom or something like that, this will be a perfect camera to cover the entire distance width-wise, and then also cover the audio piece itself. Built-in microphones or built-in speakers built into the bottom. Again, to use it for 2-way, you would have to be pretty close. In most cases with 2-way, we recommend using the audio IO to maybe install a better speaker. That way, whoever you're conversing with will be able to hear it. As far as the built-in mic, that's going to be clear enough. It's just traditionally the speaker. You have this camera mounted, 20 feet up in the air. It's really kind of hard to hear the speaker coming out of that guy. Built-in micro SD card, again, whether it's for backup reasons or whether you want to use it independently, you do have that option. Again, this is an outdoor rated camera down to IP67. So again, it's very, very industrial for outdoor. I think IP67 is a 30-minute submersion underwater test. So it's, again, very, very durable for outdoor use. So 12-volt DC as well as PoE supported. And again, we call it reset button supported on the bottom. Reset button is useful, especially if maybe you forgot the password, forgot the configuration that you put in there. You could hold that down if you don't have access to one of our reset tools. All right, this is a big one that we worked on. It took us a little while to get to an NDA compliant license plate camera. So this is a true license plate recognition camera, 2 megapixel, 164-foot infrared illumination. So this works in daytime as well as nighttime. You have a 4 to 47 millimeter zoom lens, true WDR, audio IO, again, the built-in micro SD. With this one, just to give you guys an idea, we traditionally, recommend you stay within 50 feet. You can go further than that if you adjust it, but within 50 feet parameter, within 55 miles per hour, as long as you set it up within that to our requirements, you'll be able to capture a license plate, no problem. The license plates are searchable as well, so you could actually search license plates through the recorder. The license plate will also act independently. So if they don't have a recorder, you could have this maybe set up through a browser. They could have controls of the cameras. If there is a gate, they can also control that gate through the browser. There's an option to open and close a gate. So if there's some type of guard station or guard shack where someone's kind of monitoring entry point, they could actually control that from there. So the camera does act independently as well with the micro SD card slot. But we recommend grouping it together with one of our recorders. We did release some new recorders that does have LPR support, which we'll cover today. So keep that in mind that if you do pick up this camera and you maybe have an older Witness, or well, if you have Witness, it doesn't work, but if you have an older Vigilant recorder, it's possibly not supported. So you might need to look at one of our newer recorders to get that supported. This camera does come with a built-in junction box, as you can see there in the picture. With most of our cameras, there's not any kind of included junction box. With this one, we felt that it just defaulted should be in there, so we were able to get that one in there for you guys. There is options for corner mount, pole mounts for it as well, so a lot of options for different mountings. Patrick, is there anything else you want to touch on that? Some other key points that I missed?
No. You do have to, to sort of, pair it to an NVR. There's a photo server setting in there where you have to, put in the NVR's IP address, to link the two. I think we've seen some dealers maybe not follow the installation steps, the requirements to get it, mounted correctly, height, distance, things like that, zoomed in properly, create a drawn area for it to detect, a tight area. So, kind of really need to follow the guidelines when installing these, with any license plate camera.
Yeah, I think the cool thing is, we learned our lesson from the first license plate camera on the Witness side. It's not something that you could just stick up and leave it. We did create a really good user doc that will help you with the setup that covers kind of the distance, the angling, the positioning. Again, you want to make sure when you're capturing a license plate camera, it's not something that you're going to use for an overall shot. If you need, overhead camera, you'll have to install a second camera. This one's really honing in on a particular area, and you want that license plate to travel through the middle. We've seen a lot of customers where, you can see the license plate at the top left corner of the screen, and just because you can see it visually doesn't mean that the actual software is able to capture it. It has to be within a certain parameter, certain pixel size, and so on. And we'll cover that. I think the good thing, we have a really nice walkthrough video. It's approximately 15, 17 minutes long. So it's, again, this is one where if you do offer a license plate camera, there's a little bit of setup required to get it up and running, but we have really nice documentation as well as a really nice walkthrough video that can help you guys get that up and running. So this is a really popular camera. Again, there's not, I'm trying to think if there is any other NDA license plate cameras out there, but I can't think of one right now, but this is the first true recognition. You might see others offer an NDA license plate camera, but it's just, they just adjust the shutter. There's no actual software inside of it to capture plates or actually to be able to search the plates either. So that's what we've seen in most cases. This is based off feedback from you guys. We've heard we need black housings, certain applications, certain customers, Starbucks, depending on your customers, they only require black housings, like it or not. And, with painting housings black, sometimes you'll run into some type of heat issues. The paint can dry the gaskets out and cause some type of moisture to leak in. So again, we don't recommend painting cameras. There's maybe other methods of changing the color, but again, you have to watch out for the heat as well as the integrity of the gaskets that we have in there, because painting it possibly will work, but over the time, over years, the gaskets can shrink. And then depending, if you're in Texas, we've seen a lot of cameras that were painted black have some type of heat soak issue, and then the camera shut down. So again, with these, they're all powder coated. They're all powder coated black at the factory. There's no powder coat on any of the gaskets. All those things are very important. So that's the reason, why we don't recommend painting black. We did bring these in our 6 megapixel lineup. Again, these will cover our dome, bullet, and turret. All of the models will offer some type of low light chipset. The main and a built-in microphone with most of them. I think we got the bullet as well as the turret, and then the dome will be an IO version. So just keep that in mind when you're considering that. We did bring in junction boxes for you guys, same color as well, so you don't have to offer a black color camera with maybe a white junction box. So we were able to bring those in for you guys. All right. Again, Starlight Technology, 6 megapixel black housing is available for you guys. Here's the examples of the brackets. So you got your junction box. This will be more of your square one, your round, and then a wall bracket with cable management in the back.
And if you notice on these black cameras, we took your feedback on our older models. Some of them, y'all are like, well, it's really not black. It's a real light gray.
More like
so,
a gray. Yeah.
You know, so we tried to, you know, understanding heat and understanding a host of different variables with these cameras. We took your feedback into account when Norman and Patrick and them were helping design these out. So
yeah, we've heard it. You know, it's not something you guys might use every day, but there's certain applications or there's certain viewers that's the only thing they can offer. So again, just trying to give you guys other options besides one color factor. So if you guys have any feedbacks on any additional models, that's something we could look into as well. Just some new bracket and accessories for Vigilant line. New junction box covers covers the models on the side there. What we called out here, the JB3HIN is slightly smaller than the camera. So what you'll notice is you'll see a little bit of a lip when you mount those two together, but not enough to where it causes any kind of intrusion of water or any kind of, you're not gonna be able to see inside of it. So just the one thing that we like to call out. So when you do get it, it's like, hey, this is a little bit of lip on here. It's not a design issue. It's just basically how it's designed. We just want to let you guys know up front on that one. So corner mount for fixed and motorized cameras over there on the right. So the UC08-C. So just make sure we check.
That was a question I was just asked regarding the PTZ we were just talking about. This corner mount will work with that PTZ.
This one right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so again, just with most of the cameras, feedback is we need to offer the accessories. So with pretty much most of the products, we'll have a junction box, wall bracket, or some type of compatible pole mount or corner mount available for it as well. Next, we'll get into the recorders, our Vigilant NVRs and DVRs. I think the key thing is easy to use. So the one-click firmware via cloud, you could do that pretty much anywhere, and we'll cover more of that later. But whether you're at the mobile app or you're local at the recorder or you're accessing it via the browser, you have an option of going and checking the firmware for the recorder as well as the cameras attached to that recorder, and it'll give you an indication to say either not at the latest. The mobile app will give you a color indicator dot to say this camera needs firmware update. And all you have to do is basically just click onto it. Once you click onto the device, you'll start upgrading it. The device will reboot and then get back online. So again, very easy to manage it. Compared to the witness line or previous line, you would have to contact tech support, get a thumb drive, unzip the folder, make sure you put in a proper name folder, upload it. Hopefully nothing reboots during that time frame where you'll brick it. So just making it easier, a little bit more standard. Today we all have smartphones. You'll see the update get pushed to your phone. You just click the button and it starts the update. That's the goal, with video security especially. So just making it easier for you guys to manage and keep it updated. Long distance PoE, again, that's something that we discussed before. It's something that we added on the witness side that we've actually, something that we've been working on for quite some time. It was actually already built into this lineup. So 820 feet. PoE extended distance. We have that kind of breaked out into a map as far as if you're using Cat 5 or Cat 6, what does that mean as far as your distance? Because there will be a little bit of distance transmission between the two. Most updated codec, again, H.265, and then we offer a UBS technology system for video storage. This will allow you to reduce the risk of any type of data loss or malfunctions and give you really precise playback. So again, just overall, just make sure that the system's stable and using the latest technology. Here's a matrix for our recorders. Same thing with the Alibi branding. Whether it's a network recorder, it'll start with an NR. If it's a hybrid recorder, HR, that will cover your TVI and analog needs. The next series will be the channel count. So you'll see like a 04, 64. So just trying to give you guys an indication what channel count is built into it. And then at the end, this is one where we change a little bit. We kind of put whether there's a flex line or performance line at the end of it. The other thing that we realized compared to the past was, we'd sell recorders, whether it's a DVR 3008, NVR 3008, and the question was, how many hard drives does it have? And everybody would have to go look at the specs and find it. We just put it right in the SKU. So whether it's 1 hard drive, 2 hard drive, 4, or 8 bay, it's at the end of the SKU. And that'll give you an indication. Okay, I have 4 hard drives available for that. I'll load it up, or I'll just put 1 or 2. So just try and make it easy again for you guys to navigate through our SKUs for sure. At the bottom here, you'll see an HDMI extender. That's just for the 128. This will allow you to add more HDMI outputs. So it's basically a decoder card that will slide into the back. If you guys are familiar with Witness, we had that defaulted into the box, but what that did was it added an extra cost to the box. And with most of our customers, they didn't use the multiple HDMI outputs. So it was kind of, adding $1,000 to the box that wasn't needed. So we pulled the card out on this particular model. We offer it as an upgrade for you guys. All right, we'll cover some of the new recorders. With the new recorders, a lot of it was based off feedback from you guys, whether it was we want it, more like Witness, or we need more horsepower. I think that's the one that we're hearing is as we go up in resolution with 4, 5, 6, and 8 megapixel, a lot of the specs that were kind of built out before, whether it was an 80 meg or 160 meg box, that's from many years ago where we were moving a lot of 2s and 4s. So we were making sure we focused on that need. Is the last thing you want to do is sell a bunch of high res cameras and you have to crank down that bit rate down to like a 2 meg bit rate. It just doesn't make sense. So that's something that we worked on this year. So what you'll see is even down to our 8-channel NVR here. So our 8-channel and our 16-channel, they both offer 320 meg incoming and outgoing bandwidth. So both these recorders offer PoE per channel. Both of these will support 2 hard drive bays. The other thing that we added was HDMI and VGA independent outputs. That's something that we offered on the Witness side. To us, we're pretty excited about this one because the Vigilant line before, especially on the 8-channel, if it did offer, or 16-channel, if it offered 2 video outputs, they were going to be identical. So whether it was HDMI and a VGA, you weren't able to independently select what cameras you wanted to show on that. Something simple, you feel simple, but because of the chip technology wasn't ready yet, we weren't able to support that, but now we're able to. With both the recorders, they support audio alarm IO. The other big thing is LPR supported. So as I mentioned earlier, with our older recorders, there's not a support for some of that. With the newer recorders that we brought on, whether it's 8, 16, 32 and up, we'll be able to support that. POS is also supported. So if you have a need for POS, this will overlay the POS data over the video stream itself. This will be more of a networkable type POS device. If it's still using kind of the old serial port or printer port, we'll have to add another device to make that networkable. It's as simple as putting a port in there. It's a listening port that we're listening for the POS data to come through. And again, how that works is as they're doing the transaction through the POS point of system, the camera would, is watching overhead. That information would start to display over that video screen itself. So that way it's recorded on the video. So if the manager or store needs to look and see what was charged, they can actually watch the video at the same time in real time, with the overlay displaying at the same time what's being cashed in or cashed out. Fish ID warp and live or playback, so that's a big one as well. That's supported in local as well as web GUI. Down at the bottom, we're just giving you an idea of decoding capabilities. So it's like you could decode 112 meg at 30, 2 at 8, 5, 4 megs, 8, 1080s, and 16, 720p. So again, with most of our boxes, you're limited as far as maybe you can only play back 4 cameras, 8 cameras at full res, or you'll have to maybe adjust it down to substream. With this one, with 320 coming in and out, it's a pretty beefy machine for sure. Patrick, was there anything else that I missed on those that we need to talk about?
No, I think you covered it all.
Same thing as we roll into the 16 and 32 channel, pretty much exactly what I covered on the other ones. Just you're going to see up to 16 channel PoE on both of these. So again, as I mentioned, the 32, we you're not going to have 32 PoE outputs, or PoE outputs. You'll have 16 on this one. With both of them, they support up to 4 SATAs, so 10 terabyte. They do support RAID 1 and 5 as built in as well. Again, the same thing with the HDMI VGA independent output. Big thing on this again, 320 incoming, outgoing LPR PoE support. So available again. So between the 8, 16, and a 4-bay, 16 and 32, we should cover most of your guys' needs within these 4 models.
One of the things we want to call out is when you're talking about LPRs, they can do 8, correct, on these 4 models?
No, correct.
Up to 8.
Up to
That's
8,
correct. Yeah. So 8 LPRs. It's a lot of license plate cameras to manage, a lot of data going back and forth between the video server, but just keep that in mind.
Yeah, and the same applies with the smart sense cameras as well. Our AI intelligent cameras that can track human vehicles to the analytics, up to 8 as well for those cameras.
Yeah. All right, this is just our pro tip to talk about firmware updates. Make sure you guys keep firmware update. Traditionally, the technology world, you don't upgrade the firmware unless something's broken. With video security, it's a little bit backwards. Usually with the firmware, we'll have the latest bug fixes, the latest features and technology or built into that. So we recommend getting everything updated. If you run into any issues, with setup, or you're seeing something, not working correctly, just double check, that your firmware is updated on your recorders as well as on your cameras. In most cases, we see that, fixes a lot of issues. Keep that in mind, after you do a firmware update, the camera and recorder should reboot. If you don't see a reboot, power cycle it, to make sure that, it did take and that it gets back to a normal status. But the thing is, we made it very easy again for you guys. Whether you're at your mobile app, you can click onto your system, you'll see a dot that indicates that there is a firmware available for it. If you look under your browser, go to the maintenance tab, there's an option to check via cloud if you have a firmware available. And at the same time, if you're in the recorder, you can actually go to the camera section and check and see if there's firmware available for those cameras on your network. If there is, let you know that it's not at the latest. You could just basically click onto it. It'll start the upgrade. You can pick whichever cameras you want to upgrade. After it's done upgrading, it'll again reboot and then get back online. So again, very easy to manage, updating firmware, especially on Vigilant.
And before we go to the next slide, what I really want to emphasize is, we listen to y'all and saying, hey, we want to manage your supply chain, right? And in the last couple of years, supply chain has been very problematic. To get around that, what we're doing right now is we typically will have 5 to 8 months worth of gear on hand on order in production. And because of that long tail of inventory running through, some of our firmware is older. So when you get the box and you put it in, have your techs, before they leave the site, just check for updates and have it update the camera and box. It does it automatically right after you hit check and go. But that way, that every one of your models has all the latest features. It has all the latest security fixes, because that's always a concern for us, is to make sure everything's up to date. And 9 out of 10 times, that will prevent you from ever needing to call tech support. I can't tell you the calls that I've listened to where they call in and then we update the firmware and they're like, oh, okay, thanks. So if you're wondering why we're pushing on the firmware, we want it to be easy, but also just kind of understand with us moving around supply chain challenges for y'all, we have a lot longer inventory, so it's not a 30, 60, 90-day turn anymore. So if you do this, it'll help you move on to your jobs quicker.
For sure. Thank you, Robby. Yeah, just best practice, keep it updated. We made it very easy for you guys to update that, but that way is just, you'll reduce that tech support call for sure. So all right. Next is the roadmap. We'll cover kind of at the end a little bit of, we would like to shape kind of 2023. There, we do have items that we have on the roadmap for 2023 that it's, there's some specialty products, some, I'm not going to say top secret products, but some of that. But just, kind of at the end of this is just finding out what would you guys like to see at the end of it, as far as what would you like to see us offer, what we're not offering that you're currently buying from someone else. Just that way we can, help you source that product, make a one-stop shop. If there's something we're missing, we'd like to know that. So just, please provide that feedback. But here towards the end of Q3 for this month, we brought on that panoramic camera. So again, NDAA panoramic, it's the PF40 LUA. So again, low light, it's going to have audio built in. Again, we brought on the NDA dual lens PTZ. So the one with the built-in panoramic and PTZ is also in. We're working on a HD analog 315 meg PTZ. That one, we're trying to get that one rushed in, but we're worried about just a few things that we need to check the box on that one still. 6 meg fixed as we covered. So available in a black housing bullet dome turret. So that's available for you guys. Here really soon, we're going to have the 8-channel hybrid. This is your, it's going to check the box for your 8 meg NDAA. So this is our first NDA compliant hybrid box. Right after that is the 4-channel. So it's one where we'd like to bring them all in at the same time, but in order to reduce the delay, we're going to bring them in when they're ready. So traditionally, we'd like to bring them in as a group for 8 and 16, but we really don't want to wait. Because at the end of December, you can see the 16 channel goes into production. It doesn't mean that we'll receive it in December. More likely we'll receive it at the end of January. So this one, we're trying to rush these in. And I know for some of you guys, you're not into the hybrid, but we still have a lot of a need. There's still a lot of use case for it. In some cases, we see a lot of guys, their customer has expensive PTCs that they bought from Pelco, they bought from Bosch, that they don't want to get rid of. So they have like 3 or 4 of them. So what they'll do is they'll buy like the 4-channel, 8-channel hybrid, add those analog HD analogs to that box, and then they're able to add IP cameras to the hybrid. So with most of the hybrids, they're not just closed off at 4-channel, 8-channel. In most cases, you're able to add or mix and match IP to that as well. So we'll make sure we cover that for you guys. So with that, we'll just finish off with the rest of the year, make sure we have the hybrid recorders coming in to check the box for you guys on that. But again, this is kind of one where if you could provide in the Q&A, items that you'd like us to see, technologies you would like us to get into, areas where you feel we might just be missing out on. That type of feedback will help us grow the line and shape the line, just like how we did with Witness as well as Vigilant. So we really appreciate your guys' feedback, your input. Whether it's positive or negative, we need to hear it. That's the only way we can get better. So just if you could provide that, we'll also provide our contact information at the end of this webinar as well, so you could reach out to us directly if you don't want to put in the Q&A. So integrations based off feedback from you guys. There's most of this stuff was stuff that we started working on 2020, 2021. Again, based off feedback. It makes is a big video monitoring provider. We're fully integrated with the Vigilant line on this. There's a few large integrators that's all they use is MX. We've actually done some special firmware for MX where we can actually push VCA clips to MX. Traditionally with their platform is basic motion, but we're able to send 3 snapshots, whether it's a pedestrian or human type detection, to their server. So with that, you get less false alarms, and that's what that's what the integrator mentioned was, how can I reduce the false alarms, from my video monitoring service? I'm using these cameras from Hikvision. They just have basic motion detection. I'm getting false alarms from shadows, leaves, animals, and so on. So that's the reason why we worked on the Vigilant side, especially to offer that feature. Tyco and Exact, we're fully integrated with Witness and Vigilant. If you go to Exact site, you'll see our model numbers fully listed and fully integrated. So something that we really focused on, especially for NDAA, that's probably the biggest thing is with Exact. We're not able to integrate any more Witness cameras or any Hikvision cameras. They won't accept it. They're not allowed to have any of that on their network. So that's one of those things, just to, give you guys a little bit of heads up. So as we worked with these guys, that was the other focus, is making sure it was Vigilant only. So not saying that we don't support on Witness. That's something that we worked on before, but Vigilant will be the focus. Network Optics, that's a VMS provider. There's a few projects that we've worked on. If you guys aren't familiar, Network Optics is a VMS provider. They actually make VMS for guys like Hanwha, guys like Digital Watchdog. If you look at their software and then you kind of go look at the other guys, you'll notice they're very similar. I mean, almost identical, exact. So we're fully integrated with those guys as well. Vigilant, Motorola House, our cameras are supported in there as well. So Witness and Vigilant. And then I threw in Control 4 for home automation. With this, we actually support on cameras and recorders for the Vigilant side. On the Witness side is cameras only at 2 meg. On the Vigilant, we can actually support it up to 8 megs. So we support on cameras and recorders for Vigilant for Control 4. So this is for your home automation needs. Same thing for integration, guys. Feedback is very important. If you see someone on here that we're missing, I mean, we've got a lot of feedback. We're looking into other ones. These are just the ones that we actually have integrated that we can say is certified. But if there's anybody else you're working with or like to see us work with, please provide that information. Again, contact me directly if we need to do something a little bit more special. It's always something we're willing to look into for sure. As we kind of get into our analytics before we do the demo, just this is a list of the analytics that we offer for Vigilant. I could tell you guys before with Witness, we call it, Smart Sense with Witness. We offered a human and a vehicle detection, and that's pretty much it. With this lineup, we offer face detection, no mask detection. No mask was kind of built from the COVID timeframe. If you guys have used some of our thermal units, that technology was taken from there. So we do have that built into some of our products. So if you have applications where there's medical, educational, where they still require a mask, we do have that built into some of our products where it could detect the person not wearing a mask. Your standard cross-line intrusion, we have an enter and leave detection area. So if something leaves that area or enters it, behavioral detection as well, which we'll cover a little screenshot on that. Scene change detection, so someone changes the scene. Your standard object removal or left behind is built in, auto tracking, people counting, human and pedestrian. There is a difference. With most of our Pro line, it's going to have the pedestrian detection. It's very accurate, works very well. Human detection is a little bit different detection method that we have built into the Flex line. Especially in our Wi-Fi cameras, we have the newer version, works very well. We see really low false alarms from that one. Vehicle detection, again, with our license plate or in some of our Pro series, we have that built in. You'll see one that says non-motor vehicle. This is for like devices like mopeds, motorcycles, golf carts, shopping carts. I think we had a stroller at one time, someone pushing a stroller. So these are anything that's maybe has wheels, but it doesn't have any type of motor. And that's just how advanced the AI is on this one. And then crowd density monitoring. So again, it's a little bit of a loitering or kind of tied to COVID a little bit as well. So you don't want everybody kind of crowding up. When they detect too many people crowding or loitering, you would receive some type of alert from that as well. So you can see there's a host of features. Not all cameras are created equal. So just make sure that if you're needing one of these features, you just double check, make sure the camera does support it. If the camera doesn't support it, you'll notice it's going to be grayed out in the VCA tab. So if you'll see, whether it's vehicle detection or human, it will be grayed out if it's not supported. If it is supported, you can check the box and set it up from there. The other thing to keep in mind is make sure that you're in our protocols or in our private Vigilant protocol. If the camera is set up in OnViv, some of these features are not available for you guys. So keep that in mind. Robby or Patrick, anything that you wanted to discuss or anything I might have missed on that?
No, I think we can hop into kind of really just showing them how it works. Okay. Right.
This just real quick web interface of the VCA configuration. So as I mentioned earlier, if it is grayed out, it's not supported. Again, this is one just giving you an idea of doing face detection, perimeter, all the way down to the people counting side. So whether it's a fisheye camera that has maybe people counting, you can also pull up the reporting as well to show you that as well. This is the local interface version. So just kind of showing you between the browser and then the local. So very similar as far as where everything's laid out, just different color codes and so on. Here's an example of the behavioral search. So you could go in and search face, snapshot, comparison, behavioral search, put in your time. We're searching event all. So this is one where it's giving you an idea if it's a line crossing, and then the object is a person, pedestrian. For vehicle search, license plate, this is a good one here to show you. This will show you the license plate of the vehicle. The thing that we're still working on is the plate color and vehicle color. Unfortunately, the plate colors are all show blue right now. That's something that we're working on. With different colored plates, that's something that's you figure it'd be easy to capture, but it's just something that we're working on. Same thing with vehicle. What we notice is sometimes with the vehicle, a white vehicle might actually be silver, or a light blue vehicle might be white. So it's just something like that where it's a little bit off from that one. So over here is what I'm trying to show you guys is this is a scene where the vehicle's too far. So even though you kind of see the plate in the scene, it didn't capture the plate. The other thing that we notice, if you, again, you might receive other text within that plate number. So again, it's just picking up text. So if it pops into field of view, it might copy that text that you'll see there. So here's a good example. If you had numbers on the side of this semi-truck, 524760, and it captured that as a plate. So again, very smart cameras, but again, you need to set them up correctly, control the environment. But what we've seen in most cases, it's very accurate as far as capturing the plates, as long as you have everything set up correctly. Through our mobile app, we could do line cross setup as well as intrusion. So just showing you guys how easy it is to set that up. So you don't have to be at the unit. You can actually do it through your mobile app. So as your installers are kind of at lunch or after they kind of got everything up and running, they could actually, sit in the van and adjust it from here. So very easy. This is based off feedback. I believe Digital Watchdog or one of the other competitors offered something like this. And this is something that we were able to build into our mobile app. All right, Robby, I think we're ready for that demo. I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing.
Perfect. So guys, we kind of covered our roadmap, and what we hope you see is, we take your feedback, we listen to it, and we bring products to hopefully check the boxes that you're looking for. When we talk about the Alibi Vigilant line, we're about 150-ish SKUs, and we are working down the last 4 or 5 non-NDAA chipsets out of the line. You can kind of see that from the roadmap. Hopefully, as we go into January, the entire line will be just 100% NDAA. And we're doing that really just predicated off of wanting to set y'all up with no exceptions, right? It's great that we're like 98% compliant today, but we want to be 100%, right? And as the new chipsets come out, you'll see us move towards that. And so that's kind of where we're moving with the line. We're also taking feedback. You saw that big list of analytics. And when we listen to our dealers and then we listen to what the dealers are saying, their customers are saying, what their customers really want is, they want to be like a celebrity or the president. They want 24-hour guard service, right? That's what they want. But when the reality of the price of that sets in, then they come back and they say, well, what is the cost of 24-hour virtual guard service where we have someone watching cameras? And they have that out there today. We integrate with a host of monitoring companies and they provide that. However, that cost is still pretty steep. So what we've been working on Smart Analytics is how can we take cameras? They're looking at field of view, they're looking at a scene, and how can we set those cameras up to where they're going to give you pre-notifications of an event that you don't want to have happen? And so when we start thinking about Smart Analytics, we're thinking about, pre-notification or notification in general that says, hey, you said you didn't want someone coming up to your back door or your front door after hours. That's happening right now. What do you want to do? And then that notification will push to your phone app in real time. We also understand that as we're doing these notifications that, you want to have deterrence based on these events. Maybe you don't want someone coming around your vehicle after hours and you want to deter crime from happening. So we're going to show that. And then last, what happens when you do have an event? Everyone here that's a dealer, if you've been around for a while, you know how hard it is to sit there and look at motion clip after motion clip after motion clip. Well, we want to make it easier using these smart analytics for you to go find the data quickly, to see what happened, and then to be able to provide that maybe to the authorities or maybe to the owner of the business. So this demo we're going to go through is going to show several of these examples and then how you set them up. So let's kind of hop right into it. The first one I'm going to talk about is we have an intrusion zone predicated on a human. So we draw an intrusion zone around a vehicle. We set up and saying, hey, if a human comes into this, not just anybody, not just a dog or anything, after hours, we want you to notify with our bullet camera and deter them from breaking into the vehicle. So let's go ahead and show you how that looks. So this was recorded just with an iPhone. So you can kind of see with that smart analytic, it's predicated on stopping crime. You know, how many of y'all have seen from your customers, you know, random people, homeless people, vagrants breaking into cars and neighborhoods, stealing change, stealing whatever's left in the vehicle overnight? More often than not, you know, the end user didn't lock their door, and you know they're just doing a crime of convenience. But that said, if you're a criminal and you're going in trying to break into a car, and then you have a strobe and a statement, then you're actually brought aware. You're like, oh crap, I'm being recorded. I'm going to move down to the next person who doesn't have that to steal. So that's real important. The next thing that I'll show and demo is really around an example of what does it look like on your phone when you set up an intrusion or maybe a human coming up to a door after hours. What does that push notification actually look like when it goes to your customer, right? So I actually recorded that on my cell phone, and I have the scenario set up to where the back porch is a customer's front door, and I'm going to get a notification right when that person comes up. So if you'll look right here in the top, you'll see the push notification pops up. You click that, then you click the top film reel, and it's going to show the video. If you're in a low bandwidth area, it'll show a video on the low res, and I'm actually going to show that on mine, so that like this is the worst scenario of the video coming through, and that's grabbing the substream. But you can see that that's real time. Now the customer is being made aware that his business has someone coming up to the door after hours because of the scheduling, and now he can call the police. He doesn't have to wait and come into work the next day only to find out that he's had an event. You know, so we continue to push on these smart analytics. We continue to push the idea of how can we make the cameras work for our dealers and our end users alike to really make our neighborhoods safer, smarter, and more secure. So you'll see us push that over and over again. Next, let's kind of talk about what happens if you have an event. So everybody knows that when you log in to a box and you see at the bottom, you have a ton of motion events, right? If you notice on the browser, you can go to smart events, you can select your camera, and then you can pick, you can see these little green dashes. You can pick an event that's predicated on, you said, hey, you wanted to know about a human coming in and out of this door. So you can kind of see right here, I come out of the door and it let me see. And then also, oh, then I got some dirt on my shoes.
I thought his hands in the shoes.
No, yeah, I'm seeding my yard and it was wet this morning. Also, let's imagine that you didn't have all that set up. Well, now you can just highlight a box and click search, and it's going to bring in green dashes for motion in that field. So we're taking smart analytics and we're giving you a couple of different ways to find that data. And one of them is predicated on, here's all the humans that you had in this camera scene after hours or whatever. The next one may be, I didn't set that up. I just want to go look and see where there's motion in an event. Maybe you're looking at a car or whatever. And here's where those events happen so you can get to it. And this is on the browser. So this is not like you have to download our CMS. Our CMS has this feature, but we want it included in our browsers. And so this works on Chrome just as well as it does, say, IE, one of the older browsers. Next, when you talk about setting up analytics, you can go, let's go to this back porch. They're really easy to set up. So you can see I've checkboxed line crossing. You come in, I've drawn lines focused on 2 doors, and I'm saying, hey, when the human, you can see I checkboxed the human down at the bottom, pedestrian. When a human comes through, that's when I want to record it. Next, you can see when do I want these notifications? So you can see that during the day, Monday through Friday, I want it up until about 4 or 5 o'clock. And then I don't want it when my kids are home, so I don't get a bunch of, just random alerts. You can also see it during Saturday, Sunday. I have it disabled. So you can get very granular with these smart analytics and what happens with them on your scheduling. You can also see when you got trigger actions. I actually tethered one of my PTZs to it. So as that event happens, I have another PTZ that comes back around to give a supplemental screen grab of video. So you can get really, really detailed on how you set these up, and then you can supplement that one camera with another camera coming over to provide support. And that's different than a lot of our competitors, right? So every one of our cameras has some kind of smart analytic on there, and it does push notifications, and it's super easy to set up. And that's probably the biggest thing that I would push on when we talk to our customers and our dealers is like, you can set this up on your customer. You can really help them out. You can get them to not just be reactive, and we've really worked on our analytics to cut down on the false positives, right? I can remember when we first started pushing on them, a dog would be a human. If you go back a few years back, and we've really worked hard to make these analytics, 90-95% accurate. And it's really based on feedback from y'all. So that's what we wanted to kind of demo at the end is not just that we're bringing out a bunch of NDA cameras and NDA line in general, but, hey, these cameras are really spending a lot of time to get you smarter and safer and really helping your customers. So one of the things that we always want to talk about is on YouTube, we make a ton of videos to support each one of these models, each one of the setup. It's not lost on any of us. All of us have been out with our dealers out in the field, and we've watched when their techs are setting something up and the end user's milling around, and maybe that tech doesn't know how to do one specific setup feature. It's a lot easier versus him getting on the phone, waiting on hold, maybe it's only a minute, but then having to ask versus he can walk out to his van, look up the how-to part on that video, hit play, and then walk back in and execute it. So there's also a bunch of product slicks on every single one. And I'll also put this plug in for every one of the dealers on. You have a website that we've created for you on your account that gives you branded product slicks. All you have to do is go into that. And if you don't know about that, talk to your account manager and he'll walk you through how to get all your stuff branded for you because we've already got it set up for you. Did I miss anything, Norman or Patrick?
No, I think that was it. We had a lot of Q&As come through. Looks like a lot of them were answered. Not sure if you guys could see those Q&As here, but
well, we can kind of go through and answer some of them if y'all would like, just in case. So when we were talking about white light, one of the questions from one of our integrators is like, hey, do you have an option to where the white light is off until something happens? And I'll let Norman or Patrick answer that question.
No. I know the PB81 will probably be the closest one, and that's the one that's going to have the white strobe light. Patrick, do you know if I don't think
Yeah,
the
I
PTZ
answered it
might?
in the answer. There's a couple setup settings you have to take care of. Enable the alarm lights and the trigger actions of whatever smart analytic you're using. And under in the image settings, you can turn off the smart illumination in the day-night mode, depending on whether if it's set to night, the white light will be on when an event is triggered. If you set it to automatic or day, the white light will actually blink when an event is triggered. So 2 options there for setting it up. You want just a solid light or a blinking light.
So yes.
Yeah, the other one was white lights that track bugs. That is true. If you guys notice, infrared also tracks bugs. So this one where if you're in an area where there's a lot, you might have to go up there and clean it a little bit more often from the spider webs, or as Robby used to do, he used to spray bug spray around the cameras. And that will help it out with certain amount of time for sure. So but overall we feel the white light will give you better picture quality compared to infrared, and you're starting to see that now. Everybody is switching to a white light technology versus infrared, because when infrared first came out, it was the industry shunned it, and then everybody adopted it. So we're seeing the same thing with white light now. We have a recommendation to make PCM files for the self-made audio files be available. Looks like we answered that one. We'll get you the program that we use. We noticed that one too, Dan, that when we tried making our own, it took a little while till we were able to figure out. And the good thing is we have what's funny is our graphic person figured it out, and she's the one who actually makes our audio files, and that's something that we could help you with for sure.
And Dan, we'll get someone to follow up with y'all, and we'll post that on there for you.
Yeah, it makes it easy. Yeah, so we'll work on that. I see you're having some issues with the PCM. 2 channels on the NVR. Does the camera fit in one frame?
Oh, pano. Yeah.
The pano.
Yeah. So the pano, that's one frame or one window pane, and
it's giving you a wide angle. Yeah, wide angle field of view is what it's doing there.
The dual lens PTZ does take up 2 channels actually. One for the the fixed camera on top, and then the PTZ will be a second channel as well.
Yeah, the panoramic is 1 channel.
Yeah,
but as he stated, the dual lens will be 2. License plate camera, again, 50 feet is what we recommend. That's kind of what we have in there, but it does go a little bit, the way that it's positioned is technically 60, 70 feet, but keep it within that range, but we are able to adjust it. It's all about pixel count. When you're setting it up, the actual plate, it has to be within a certain pixel count, and as long as that's meets the requirement, you'll be able to capture it. How many degrees from straight on can the LP camera be left or right? I think it's 30 or 50. Let me see here. Do you have that sheet up, Patrick?
Yeah, I copied
15 degrees is
horizontal 0 to 45, and the vertical 0 to 30.
Okay,
so there's a link
30 vertical, 45 to the right. Again, as long as you're positioning that camera, you want that plate in the middle. As long as you get that, you're gonna more likely capture it. So.
And then when we talk about license plates, we've tested it on numerous plates across the country. There was one question about
Tennessee. Yeah, Tennessee works. Delaware, I think, was the only one that we have a little bit of issue with, and there's because they don't put a reflective paint on their plates, so there's a little bit of an issue with that one. So it works great in daytime. Nighttime requires a little bit of setup. So just keep that in mind.
And then we did answer the corner mount. It's not lost on us, Tim, that for a professional job to go in, that you need all the adapters for cameras, a junction box, wall mount, corner mount, parapet, and we continue to bring those on and expand out. So I hope you saw that when we kind of got to that one screenshot showing that corner mount.
Yeah, for sure.
Then
so here's some thanking for bringing on black housings. Yes, so Nate was asking if we'll have junction boxes, which we covered that. So they do. We have that for you. So what else do we have here? Heat factor, black, good recommendation for northern climates. That's correct. That'll work. There's a PTZ question to the mobile app.
Yeah, that came in last week. So on the Witness app, you could set the home on the preset, and on the Vigilant you can't. We've pushed that upriver to get an answer on if we can add that to the app. Some of those feature requests are always on dev cycles, so we just kind of have to wait for them to get worked through. You can adjust the home and presets and all of that on the box and on the camera itself with ease. So
for sure. Let's see here. Doorbell cameras compatible. That's one that we get requests. It does come up. The one that we were testing, we just saw a lot of negatives with it, to be honest. So again, 2.4 only. The range is pretty, weak, and then we were just having issues with not only adding it to the NVR but making it work through the mobile app at the same time, where they were both integrated. So again, we're waiting for the next version. Dual band. And some improvements, but I could tell you the one that we did test just didn't check the box for us. And if you guys are around on the Witness side, the ones that we offered on that side, they work, but we were running into app issues. So that's one that we just need to make sure, as we bring in a product like this, even though it seems very common and simple, it's a lot of development that has to go into the back end to make it work correctly. So. Could we bring one on today that runs on a separate app that doesn't work with the NVRs? Yes, we could, but I don't think that's going to fit the bill for most of you guys. So doorbell's on our list. As soon as we can come up with something that's very, that works, that checks the box for us, we'll bring it on for sure. Are there many people using these integration? Again, we have a lot of people using them, especially with the MX and Exact. That's one that we're seeing. So if you're doing kind of video monitoring, MX is the reason why. If you're doing, stations or VMS stations, you're dealing with larger customers that are government or state and city, the Exact is kind of the method that they're going with on that in some cases.
And we had a question whether or not PoE IP or moving over to HD-TVI. We're already seeing a big shift to IP. I don't know what the actual overall sales percentage is, but it's the vast majority is IP. All of our development, when you look upriver, is more focused on IP. So you will kind of see that in the world, kind of as far as you look at analog continues to get less and less time and development money spent on it, and for cost reasons, they always want to make it the low cost leader, and they keep stripping out features, even on the boards, the chipsets, kind of the whole shebang. So, George, I would probably almost always lead with IP unless you're trying to do a retrofit. That would be the only time that I would kind of consider it. And even then, I'd probably say IP. Yeah,
and IP is, easier, I would say. Cable runs will be lower cost, less connections. You don't have to worry about getting power to it, getting a power supply. Overall IP it's just been very easy. And I think a lot of guys that were stuck in the analog just were afraid to the plug and play part. But, we made that very easy for you. So if you're, 4 cameras to 16 cameras, you can pretty much plug and play out of the box. When you need to add cameras to the network, we make it very easy to find those cameras and to add them. So there is ways that we can help you out, George, on that one for sure. But we're 95% IP house. We're, traditionally back in the days, we were the exact opposite. But with most of our customers, it's IP. It's easier to manage, and it's also future proof. So. And as Robby stated, we're just seeing less and less companies wanting to develop technology to it. So it is fading away for sure.
And then how well does the LPR work at night? What is the percentage of night on the? I mean, like almost everything has that reflective.
It's the same as day, but it just depends on your setup. So as long as you have everything set up in the right parameter and you didn't have 2 cars drive side by side, you're at 95% capture rate. So you're going to capture that plate daytime or nighttime. You just got to make sure if you set it up in the day, you got to make sure it's you looked at the video at night before you left it, because there could be some adjustments you'll have to make for sure. But I think we just sent the video to Billy. with a nighttime shot from our camera, and that's something that we'll try to share with everyone. So just so you can get an idea what it looks like. I think that was it. Let's see here.
More universal junction boxes. So yes, we do have some universal junction boxes. The negative feedback for the universal junction boxes that we have is they're big, right? And so if you notice, we keep trying to get to the smaller and smaller junction boxes that just almost exact fit the camera, and that's just based off of feedback. So which one's the big junction box, like the JB?
The JB1, or you'll see the AJ1 is kind of the old SKU for it. But as Robby stated, you know, the base of the bullet is probably that, and then you got the junction is going to be twice the size. Yeah, universals, it's hard, but it's something that, you know, we've talked to a lot of companies about, and offering a, you know, different junction box for each product is not the best way to do it, but it's kind of where we're at. But for sure, it's something that's on our plate, and we do have, like Robby stated, one or two that works with the majority of our bullets. And domes and turrets, it's just going to be larger.
I don't see any other questions. I'd like to end with personally saying thank you for attending. If you have any other questions, don't hesitate to contact us. You can start with your account manager, and if not, all three of us, we will send out our contact information.
Again, thank you guys for your time, and we really appreciate the feedback for sure.
Thank y'all. Talk to you later.